social health insurance. And the future of health financing is in what we call demand side financing. In other words, give them a card, give them a right. Let them have the choice of where to go with that right. Negotiate for them that when they go there, they will not pay anything extra. The time when we promised people that we have now made services available, go there, is gone. For 60 years, Africa has been promising women and children, go there, there is now medicine, there is now doctors and everything. And when they go there, 12 hours later, they came at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. They've not been seen. And when they've been seen, they've been given a prescription to go and buy that medicine elsewhere. Or they've been given a request form to go and get that x-ray done elsewhere. That thing doesn't work. So if your universal health coverage strategy is based on doing more of the same, then forget it. It will not happen. The third problem there is innovation. We have to be innovative. We are still running the health sector in Africa the same way that the colonial guys left us doing it. And it amazes me that our counties are still run on that same basis as the district health concept, where you think that you're the professor of everything that's there. Unfortunately, saying that loudly in Africa means that every so often have to leave the continent because people think you're fighting. Because people don't want to do that. So when you hear there is problems between counties and ministry of health, the problem is not technical. It is who controls procurement. This is it. From the equipment thing to the medicine area, it is who controls procurement. So if truth is to be told, we have solutions for these things and we'll do it differently. So I put it to you Kenyans and Kenyans in diaspora, that this is a place where you can speak to your governments, with people who speak to the government directly. And the reason why I'm saying so is this. Out of the 2.5 billion that you remit to this country, one of the biggest share is to take care of sick relatives. But then, unfortunately, when you send it to a relative, especially the ones who come from my area where changa is not forbidden, you do not know. I remember a colleague of mine to send money because the sister-in-law had just delivered and was retained in a hospital. And when we were sitting at lunch together, and he tells me, you see, my brother sent me that his wife, my sister-in-law, has delivered. But last year, he sent me another one and asked me to send money because we were going to do a hysterectomy on this woman. So how come a woman who has had a hysterectomy is having delivery this year? This is where technology come in, and I'm glad that in places like pay for your social health insurance through that, and be able to track on your phone what that money does. Because that money must go into health. So if you are going to a major contributor in health, and if you want your money not to be wasted, you must insist on bringing technology on board, and you must insist on covering the people so that when they are sick, you are not called at midnight that money is needed. So time is not on my side. I could have taken the whole day. But I ask you this. When you read the strategy for this health pillar, ask yourself one thing. Has this handled human resource? And human resource is not about getting Cuban doctors here. It is getting our own people to do the right thing here. 2, has this handled procurement? If you don't handle procurement, all that money is going down the drain. And number 3, is there any innovation in it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Now, I feel so saddened that I have to disrupt Professor. Having actually was on holiday with the family in the Caribbean, but agreed just to come all the way with us. Give him another round of applause. I'm delighted, Prof, to note that the diaspora, one of our major projects, I don't know if Dan Kamau is in the room, Diaspora University Town. He's right at the back. Give him a round of applause, and I'll tell you why. Just wave again, out of Boston. That's probably one of the biggest diaspora projects. Kenya used to be called Kenya University Project, but now Diaspora Universities Town, being Konza City being done in Taita Taveta, already 500 acres of land acquired. Give them a round of applause. But why I'm mentioning is that in terms of drugs, one of the things the diaspora from Boston are going to establish is a pharmaceutical manufacturing company. Give DUT a round of applause. We'll be hearing from him in a while. Without much ado at this point, Ndugu Abdinasir, the floor is yours. 8 minutes, please. I feel so bad that we don't have time. Ini kionjo tu.
You confess that I shouldn't be on this panel with the distinguished guests. And I'm indeed very, very privileged and humbled to be invited. And secondly, I shouldn't be following the professor, as eloquent as he is. Something in common with Honorable Nyaga. I am an alumnus of, that was the best. And he went to Meru High School, I went to Kangaroo, and I left the country immediately afterwards. So I've been a diasporan for 38 years. But I made a point of coming back home every single year, except maybe for 3 or 4 years. And I traveled on behalf of the company World, talking about how to tackle corruption and impunity. And I'll always introduce myself as a proud Kenyan. That has created problems for me on occasions, because the first thing people asked me was if I ran marathons. And I have to give folks steps and processes and procedures that we take to procure stuff for the company. If the same was done in governments, I think Kenya would be a first world country, no doubt about it. So that is where the leakage happens to be. So my topic is corruption and impunity in diaspora. What is the impact? Impact is bad, because we really work very, very hard for the money. There's a song with that title, isn't it? We work very hard for the money, and then we send it here, and it disappears. So the impact is on us losing our investments, and the impact it has on our future investment in our country. So it's a difference when we plan to send our money back to Kenya. I hope and pray that Kipra will take some initiative to do some research on what portion comes with the money that we send to for families for either consumption or for argument's sake, that the only, let's say, 40% is investment. That is close to $500 million a year. I mean, if you are a company and procuring or investing $500 million, you would be considered a major company. So, as directors, we need to consider ourselves as a major company that money is well spent. So let me take two buckets. One is the money that we send to our families, either to invest for us. And sometimes you would have heard stories where we send money and that money disappears. You send money to your parents or your siblings to buy a piece of land, and you're told that land has been purchased, and then you send more money for construction, and you send pictures of the progress of the construction, and you're sent a picture of the final product. You're very proud, and then you have delayed your vacation for the last 5-10 years so that you can at least finish this piece of property. And then you schedule your holiday, you come here, and that property is not even yours. It's somebody else's, and you've just been sent pictures of things that don't even belong to you. So how do we solve that problem? One is, you need, just like a corporation when we are buying from companies, suppliers, contractors, goods and services, we need financial acumen. Do they have our best interest at heart? And once you do all those and you're confident that your money is not going to be wasted, then by all means go and send them the money, and hopefully they will invest wisely for you. So the key phrase that I'll keep on repeating is the due diligence. The next thing is when we need to do due diligence on our agents, the people we're buying from. Do they have a track record of honesty? Unfortunately, we don't have a database like we do in the Western countries. Like in the US, when I want to purchase something or good there, and then it's up to me then to decide whether I want to do business with this entity or not. We need to have something like that. So when we're dealing with a real estate agent, are they honest? Have they swindled other customers previously? And what do I need to do to protect my money? And then we've got our lawyers. With all due respect, the law fraternity in Kenya doesn't have a very good reputation. You've heard of money that was deposited in the accounts of law firms to buy properties or to make investments that suddenly disappear. And unfortunately, there's nowhere for you.
So that we'll get into working groups to go into details on some of the issues. Secondly, I'll just mention that our partners, particularly the exhibitors, a major reason why we are here. We want to take about 40 minutes to go and tour and interact with them. So this is part of why I'm trying to rush. Thirdly, remember there's the hashtag. I think it's KDHC 2018. Please tweet, because we are also going to receive comments, questions from across the world. People who are following live streaming from Canada, from Australia, from Finland, from Juba, from different parts of the world. We've been receiving them. So maybe later in the afternoon we'll read a few of them. Before I invite the next speaker, some of the questions I'll probably restrict just to 2 questions, because there are 2 people I want also to give like 2-3 minutes just to share in the interest of time. That's I recognize Dr. Wilmot is in the room. Just stand up and wave. An African American who has decided to be a Kenyan. It's like reverse migration. He's in the tech space, and the other young man in tech space at Eclectics International, Paul Mbogwa, CEO. Just stand up and wave. Give him a round of applause. One of our good partners over the past 5 years. At this point, I want none other than my senior. I kept saying, I wish, and I would be in very safe hands. Honorable Joe Nyaga, give him a round of applause.
He had said you'd be my minister if I became president. You know, I was only defeated by 2 people, Uhuru and Raila. In the first round, the Rio one, where everybody voted. I was number 1. I wish to thank you for inviting me. This is the 2nd time, the last one, and what might work out next round. So I went back to the village, and today I have the privilege of wearing a suit. Thank you. I was an early diaspora in the 70s, before most of you are born. I was also a diaspora in London. Finally, I was Kenyan ambassador stroke diaspora. So for 8-9 years, I lived out there, and I suffered what we've just been told. I was son of a minister like all of you. I sent money from Chicago. I thought I was doing very well. When I came home, the things are existent. If a son of a minister can go through that, what about you ordinary people? No hope. So, when I became minister for cooperatives in the Grand National, you know that government, in the leadership. Where is my chairman of KCC? Yeah, we in the leadership, circles in the US, in Europe, all over the place. We ran into legal complications, especially the US. To get a license called a credit union was almost impossible. So what did we do? We see the US, and we are told what not legally. It is based in Nairobi. But in my generation, it was the telex and the post office. CEO of Kenya Airways. It was impossible. In fact, it was approved the last week because the people who live around the tribal areas, Somalis, Maasais, Oromos, Tesos, didn't want these people to be brought on board in Kenya. We had to bring some of your leadership to come and explain the problems we were having at Bomas, and was approved at last minute. Finally, we gave you a very restricted dual citizen thing based on an economic basis that you bring out of money and so on and so forth. Continue. Daktari, if you don't fight for these people, we don't like you. We pretend that we like you. We use you. We use you because you have a lot of money. We cheat you. And you think you're very important. That's what you imagine in your little heads. You're not important, but we like your money. So you must learn how to lobby, how to fight. If you don't, forget yourselves, you'll continue fighting forever. I voted for my father in 1974 general elections when I was living in Chicago. It was P.O. Box 3, Embu. There was even no. So we excluded you for the poll. And you allow yourselves to still be excluded in an age where you can telephone that this technology which I don't understand. I want to challenge you. Don't be nice. The trouble with you, you come with sophisticated English. And it's of no value here until you know how to use your language and influence. We don't like you to vote because you might confuse our computers. I've been told to stop. I have 1 more minute. So I wish you success in what you're doing. I enjoyed being part of diaspora. We played our part. And I want to encourage you to participate in the political systems of this country. Don't be outsiders. You are too important. You have defeated Kofi and all those things, and you must play your part as you do that. And don't allow your families to play games with you. One of the reasons we had CIC and COPAC doing these things is because the laws of insurance allows them to develop. So we would come to you, put money in a credit union, then we would put in a CIC, they would buy land for you, develop, and they'll do it professionally because the laws allow you, so that your brothers and sisters will not cheat you. I have forgotten how to speak because the days I had to speak, I had written speeches. Now I have to write them myself, make notes for myself. But I wish you the best in what you are doing, and may you succeed. If I attempt to be a president, I'm the ambassador of the diaspora. Now you know who I am. God bless you. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. Asante sana, Mheshimiwa. You know, for Mheshimiwa to come all the way from Mashinani, because he saw the theme is youth engagement Mashinani. Give him a round of applause all the way from Embu. Some of us consider him father of the cooperative movement in Kenya, particularly diaspora circles, but even broadly. I should also add, his chair is saying yes, he is. I wanted also just to mention, courtesy of my sister Anne of Rego Africa, just to wave Anne. Anne will be managing one of the sessions, but she brought on board CIC's asset last year. Give a round of applause. And I know as late as yesterday, the former minister was really working on, you COPBank, CIC, you must be here. But anyway, I know that's something that for next year they said, Honorable Minister, we really want to come, but we wish you had told us a little earlier, you had directed us a little earlier. So we appreciate, we don't take it for granted. And I also remember the dual citizenship stuff when in 2001, Honorable Ambassador now, Shidie Mohammed and I, for the first time, moved the motion in Parliament for dual citizenship. It was shot down by key operators of government and opposition then, but Mheshimiwa was one of the few who was supporting it. So we have many reasons to thank you. We're glad over time. Ambassador Shidie, I hope now in Botswana will be with us tomorrow. Without much ado, I want at this point to invite just 2 questions or comment. As we do that, I'll recognize Honorable Nyawinda Dixon. Honorable Nyawinda is one of the and a member of KDA from Egypt, Cairo, is now CEC in charge of environment, water, and natural resources, Homa Bay County. Just stand up, we'll give you a round of applause again. Thank you. I know we needed to give him time, but maybe for now, not. I'll take 2 comments or questions. If I check from the back first, before I come to the front. Anyone with a brief comment? Anybody with to help with moving a microphone? Sorry, Chairman, that I have to trouble you. Yes, please. Balozi Ojambo, just brief. Then.
Dr. Josephine Ojambo. They call me Balozi. I have served as Kenya's ambassador to the United Nations in New York, and I am the immediate past Deputy Secretary General of the Commonwealth. Thank you. But my mentors are all sitting here, and I want to focus on one professor. I would call him doctor because we come from the same profession, Kama Rogo, friend of my late father. I want to ask Dr. Rogo, we've heard so much about strikes in the health sector. The nurses have just recalled their strike. What would you tell us about the proposed Health Service Commission for Kenya?
Thank you very much. I'm Oliver Litondo. My question goes to Mr. Achiar, the finance minister from Kisumu. You've talked about the blue economy, the lake region, especially on Lake Victoria. But there are 2 challenges that I think that lake has. One is the hyacinth problem. There were attempts to remove the hyacinth, and concerns being given contracts to remove the hyacinth many years ago. Investment that you want to go to Kisumu in the blue economy would be viable. 2, the Chinese importation of fish, vis-a-vis the fish that we eat from the lake. Where is the equation now? Are the Chinese still poised to continue bringing their fish here so that they of business?
Thank you. A round of applause for him. Good questions. Thank you. They'll respond. I'll invite them to respond. But as they will be responding, because those will be final comments, I want Dr. Wilmot, as we consider how we'll wrap this session up, please, just
Trying to help our country and demand, as Honorable has said, that we get the institutions that really work to protect our investments. And good luck.
Yes, Oliver, I would like to start with fish from China. My brother Abdi Nasir just talked about corruption. I think I'll just take a minute or 2 just to bring the point home about the fish and the Chinese. You realize in Kenya, we usually every year we have hamper harvest for maize. And at the same time, we have a lot of maize coming from Brazil. And it kills the local farmers. Same with sugar. We grow sugar, we mill, but we import a lot of sugar. I think the same applies. We have a lot of fish from the lake, and we have fish from China. So what is the common denominator? Just corruption. The production of fish has reduced significantly in the lake because of the river also have been destroyed. So you realize that Lake Victoria is a national resource, and it cuts across East African countries. So it's been a challenge over the years to manage the lake, and there is a body called AVEMP, which is getting a lot of funding from the World Bank to sort out the lake. A lot of billions have been pumped in over the years. Now we are in LAVEMP 3, and our governor was asking the World Bank last thing, the money menace. Thank you very much. Questions. The one on immediately to two publications. What I call the Red Book, called The Business of Health in Africa, World Bank. The second one, Not for Profit. Did you know that the most expensive hospitals in Kenya are not for profit? Did you all know? Yes. The most expensive hospitals in Kenya are not for profit. So if you come here, you are competing against the not-for-profit group. The Asian one, the role of the private sector is owned. What needs to be done by our public sector is to create an enabling environment to get your money and investment in. We are going to be able. Do you know that the most sophisticated hospital probably in Africa is here in Kenya, but it's not even open? Go to Kenyatta University here. 600-bed state-of-the-art hospital that would make any hospital in New York feel jealous. With 30 ICU beds and everything. With radiotherapy facility, your question, like is over. The health sector cannot be run that way. Now, the question then is, we need to go back and dialogue. We're still employing them the way I was employed 40 years ago. 1778, this is my 40th year. When I was recruited as an intern, sent to do internship in Mombasa, at a salary of 1,500 Kenya, looking for somebody to employ them for 40 years, at the end of which they earn something in Kenya shilling whose value is zero. Imagine my age mate in Zimbabwe taking his pension now in Zim dollars. What is it equal to? There's 2,000% devaluation. So the millennium, who is the health worker we have now, is quite different from me. They are not looking for long-term employment, but they want to be productive. So you have to change the employment status of health workers from permanent and pensionable civil service scheme to contracts where you deliver and you renew when you want to. That will
Very candidly said. By the way, tomorrow we have a session, a working group on health wellness. I'm hoping Professor will still be around. Before Honorable Joe completes, please, Paul, just 5 minutes.
Thank you again. It is no longer a chat. That's an award given 2 months ago. But I just want to mention, which I mentioned yesterday during cocktail, that Kenya is the launch of any investments you want to do. It has all the resources, all the challenges, all the best of breed version you want to go out with, but then look beyond Kenya. And there are certain tried and tested methods that can be applied for 80 banks and microfinance across our products. So data, without data, you are just like any other person. So let's look at the two. Population projections across the world, 2015 to 2100. They show still. But then, that also, on the bottom left, there is the people living extreme poverty. In Africa, it is increasing when every other continent is decreasing. We had to think quickly, what are we going to do? When I was starting, out of the SDGs, I'm going to focus on 3 areas during my lifetime. Very tactically done, I'm going to focus on financial inclusion next. Said, the dream and imagination is better than education. It starts with imagining even when you have nothing in your hands. In that process, financial inclusion, which relies on technology, was the first. And the rules were simple, address the challenges the banks are facing. So I looked at 1.3 billion people in Africa, and said, how do I achieve what I call the big business challenge? 20% of the African population are not banked. You have 80% to address. So I looked at the bottom of the pyramid and products, which addresses pains and constraints. You engage the stakeholders in, and possibly, Honorable Joe will say, even as you roll out circles, there were still more, and so on. I think part of the biggest success in that period is the right on the left, which we signed a contract with the entire Uganda Bankers Association. And within a very short time, this capturing all data, as can be seen, and we rolled out that